Today we're beginning a brand new series on transforming your inner critic, and our class today is on befriending your inner critic. Hello and welcome to episode 276 of Namaste Yoga. We are in Tofino, British Columbia on Vancouver Island on Chesterman's Beach. It's early in the morning and so it's quite cold. So you'll have to excuse my toque and my mitts and my socks today and all my layers. I think I'm wearing 1, 2, 3, 4 layers, but it is only 5 Celsius and it only feels like 2 Celsius here today, so it is cold. I have a rule that I don't film outside under feels like 10 Celsius, but in order for us to get this out for you on Friday, tomorrow it's supposed to be just raining cats and dogs here, and then by the time we just won't be able to get this out for you by the time we get home on Friday. So here we are. So we've got the beautiful backdrop of the Pacific Ocean behind us today while we film. And thank you to Squeeze Yoga Clothing for my clothes. I am wearing Squeeze Yoga Clothing, are part of my layers. I have on a pair of long leggings with the Om Mani Padme Om on my ankle. And thanks to Dusky Leaf for our props. And today I use my really big yoga bag to drag everything out here. And I've got my mat and I'm sitting on a block. I think you may need a block and even a strap today. You'll need either a meditation cushion or a block to sit on for the seated part of our practice today. So I just wanted to say that this series is based on my training as a Phoenix Rising Yoga therapist and a Phoenix Rising Yoga therapist teacher and also a Phoenix Rising Yoga therapist group facilitator. And so I'm going to be taking you through the themes that we learned as teachers and as group facilitators through this series. And we'll be starting with the idea of befriending and going through each of the themes over the next 8 weeks. And also I'll be tying those together with Hal and Cedra Stone, they're both PhDs, books, Embracing Your Inner Critic, Turning Self-Criticism into a Creative Asset. So I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. If you wanted to look more into the Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, I highly recommend their training. And also you could check out Michael Lee's book, Turn Stress into Bliss, the proven 8-week program for health, relaxation, stress relief. So I recommend that. Okay, so go ahead and rest back onto your back. We're going to begin with just a bit of centering to get started before we begin moving. So lie down on your back. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And let it fall out of your mouth. Notice what it's like to be in your body right now. What parts of your physical experience are calling out for your attention? Just notice if there are some parts that are louder than others. And then since this class is on befriending your inner critic, just bring some awareness to your inner critic and notice how your inner critic speaks to you. What are some of the things that your inner critic says to you? Just bring some awareness to that right now as you're resting back here. So over the next 8 weeks, we are going to go on a journey. And the first part of the journey is going to be about befriending your inner critic. So if we continue to resist what's happening, that's when stress and anxiety and tension all comes into play. And if we can befriend what's happening and bring compassion and loving kindness to what's happening, it's probably the best first step. And so it may seem counterintuitive to think about befriending your inner critic or making your inner critic an ally, but we're going to open up to that possibility today. And I know it's not really possible to see where we're going right now over the next 8 weeks, but I'm going to invite you to trust me and to open to the possibility that this could be a wonderful journey of self-discovery, and that the possibility of bringing compassion and loving kindness and the attitude of friendship and friendliness to your inner critic could be a good one. So we'll give it a try anyway. So you can start to deepen your breath and wiggle and stretch out. And you're going to begin by drawing both of your knees into your chest, Apanasana. So if you have any knee issues, always hold on behind your knees. Let your shoulders relax deeply. And continue to bring awareness to the way that your inner critic speaks to you. And maybe even just notice if this is the way that a friend would speak to you. Kisses from a Labrador. And then ask yourself what it would be like to bring that attitude of friendliness and kindness, just like that Labrador, to your inner critic. So what would it be like to befriend your inner critic? And then take your arms out to the side in a soft T. And if you have a block, this is a great place to use one, to put it between your knees so that you have good alignment from your knees to your ankles to your hips. And this is also really good for your SI joint here. Press into your feet, lift your hips, take them over to the right side of your mat. And then lower your knees over to the left side of your mat and look over your right shoulder so that you're in a twist. And as you look over your right shoulder, imagine you're looking into your past. And just reflect on what kind of relationship you had with your inner critic in the past. And then take your feet into the ground, press into your feet so that you come back to the center. And untuck your hips. And then we'll do this on the other side. So press into your hips, lift them and lower them over to the left side of your mat. And take your knees over to the right side of your mat. Look over your left shoulder. And then start to gather yourself up again. Bring your knees back towards the center. Press into your feet. Untuck your hips. And just give yourself a chance in the center to unravel. You can take your block and put it off to the side. And then you can tuck your chin and rock yourself up. And turn towards the front of your mat. And then you're going to take a step forward with your left foot. You could use your blocks on either side of your left foot if you want as well. And here, just notice what it's like to take a step towards your inner critic. So it might be something that you avoid or kind of pull away from, like who wants to listen to that voice? But here we're moving towards like the bully in the classroom. So what's it like to do that? What's it like to decide to befriend the bully in the classroom? And then lean back, and then you're going to step your other leg through, your right leg through. And then come back to all fours. And we're going to come into pigeon pose. So you're going to slide your right knee forward to your right wrist. Bring your left heel to your left hip bone and reach your left leg back and long. Lengthen through your spine and then fold forward over your right bent leg. So the option for this, if this isn't working, especially if it's putting a lot of pressure on your knee, your forward knee, is to lie on your back and do figure four pose. So as you're present with the sensations in your body in this pose, just notice what emotions are present when you connect with your inner critic. And then come upright again and switch legs. So you're going to slide your right leg back and then slide your left knee forward to your left wrist. Bring your left heel over to your right hip bone. Reach your right leg back and long. Lengthen up through your spine and then fold forward over your bent left leg. So on this side, notice how your body feels in reaction to connecting with your critic. If your body has changed or tensed in any way or loosened or relaxed in any way, just notice how your body has responded to tuning into your inner critic. And then you're going to make your way out of this pose and into a comfortable seated position for you today. So I'm going to sit kneeling on a block today. You may want to sit cross-legged on your meditation cushion, or you can sit in a chair. We're going to do a mudra. We're going to do the Hridaya mudra today. And you're going to sit like that to receive the teachings. So the way the Hridaya mudra works is in both hands, you take your index finger and you curl it down to the base of your thumb. And then the first knuckle of your index finger comes and it rests kind of at the first knuckle of your thumb. And then you bring your middle two fingers and connect it. This is happening more easily in my right hand, so I'll show you that one. You connect it to your middle two fingers, your index and ring finger, and then you extend through your little finger. And then you'll rest that on your lap so that your elbows are heavy, your shoulders are relaxed, your head is back over your rib cage. Feel your sit bones rooting down through your block or your meditation cushion on your chair. Lengthen up through your spine. Close your eyes. And you'll stay like this while I tell you the benefits of this mudra and then speak the teachings for today. So the Hridaya mudra strengthens your heart and releases pent-up emotions, which I thought was great for befriending our inner critic. It releases accumulated stress and emotions. It reduces anxiety and it opens your heart center. So allow your belly to relax, breathe naturally, and smile inwardly to your heart. You can even imagine smiling inwardly to your inner critic. Allow your chest to be open and relaxed. Over the next 8 weeks, we are going to befriend, bring awareness, discover the choices we have, look at the truth, discern, and learn how to flow with our inner critic. Your inner critic is a bit like a mirror that shows you a distorted reflection of yourself. And it was so interesting this morning when I pull cards each morning from various decks. This morning I pulled it from my Shadowscapes tarot deck and I pulled the moon card. And the image in the card was of a beautiful woman taking off her mask. And it's like that because the inner critic is a mask that you can, and over the next 8 weeks, we're going to take that mask off and really look at it. So I thought that was really perfect for filming this week, for the beginning of filming this series today. It is that inner voice that speaks to you in a critical and disparaging way. Over the next 8 weeks, we will discover how becoming conscious of this internal voice can make our inner critic an ally. So rather than demonizing our inner critic and making it an enemy or something that we're going to fight against and try and avoid at all cost or bring resistance to, we will uncover how this part of yourself originally grew into being to spare you shame and pain. By building your awareness of your inner critic through loving kindness, the journey over the next 8 weeks will be much more enjoyable, much more peaceful, much more beneficial, and much easier. As we grow from children to adults, we all had helpful parents, relatives, teachers, leaders, bosses, and acquaintances try to fix us so that you could grow into functioning adults in society. And these were important roles that these people played in our lives, because if we didn't have these people playing these roles, society would run amok. It would be. Can you imagine a child that had no discipline growing up? It would just be chaos. You probably know children who have grown into adults that had no discipline. They aren't very good adults. So this is a normal part of human interactions. It is, after all, a parent's job to mold you into a proper human being. So this is not to say that this is not to just take that to transfer and project all your problems onto your parents now, because they did their job. They were supposed to do what they did. Over time, in order to protect yourself from the pain and shame of feeling less than, what happens is the voice that you heard externally starts to develop internally, and it starts to echo the concerns of your parents, your church, and those that were important to you in your early years. You start to criticize yourself before your parents or anybody else can. So very kindly, this inner critic is trying to protect you from being shamed or hurt. It is desperate for you to succeed and be liked in the world. Your inner critic has grown to protect you. It really wants you to be okay, to be loved, to be successful, and to be accepted. It developed to protect your vulnerability and to make you acceptable by doing it before others could criticize you. So it wanted to protect you. It wanted to love and protect you, and it wanted to save you the shame and hurt. So from this perspective, we can bring an attitude of appreciation and even befriending and loving kindness to the role of our inner critic that it has played as we embarked on this journey over the next 8 weeks, even though it may have outlived its usefulness in our lives. So reflect on these teachings now and begin to form an intention of what you would like to receive, maybe not only just from this class, but over the next 8 weeks as you begin to transform your relationship with your inner critic. So what is it that you would like to create or sustain, release, let go, or rebirth by practicing this series or going on this journey over the next 8 weeks? And then once you've formed an intention of what you would like to receive, you can begin to release the Hridaya Mudra from your hands. Begin to wiggle and stretch out. And you might even want to take a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and start to make your way up to standing. Okay, so from standing, you're going to take your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Okay, so we're going to do a little standing moving twist, what you're going to do is you're going to rotate to your left and lift your right heel. And then you're going to rotate to your right and lift your left heel. So I think that's a crow with an eagle, right? A raven and an eagle. Okay, so you're going to left, lift your right heel, right, lift your left heel. And you're going to do this fairly rapidly. You inhale in the center, you exhale as you twist. You can do this to warm me up. And as you do this, just notice if there's any resistance to befriending your inner critic. Tim says the surfers must be more cold than me, but they're crazy people. Tim and Trinity are going surfing later. Crazy people. Okay, you're going to come to this and stop your twisting and come to the front of your mat. We're going to do Peaceful Warrior. We're going to do it by stepping your left leg back first. And you're going to sink down through your front right sit bone. And then you're going to bring your right arm up and your left arm back so that you're opening your heart up. So just notice what it's like to bring peace to your inner critic. And then find a way to let that out of your body. Come to the front of your mat again. And this time you'll take a big step back with your right foot. You're going to sink down through your front left sit bone. And you're going to bring your left arm up just beautifully the way you had your right arm up. And you're going to open your heart center and bring your right arm down your leg. And on this side, just notice if bringing peace to your inner critic isn't happening, just notice that too. And then find a way to let that out of your body. You're going to come back to the front of your mat. You're going to take a step back with your left foot again. And then here you're going to interlace your fingers around behind your back. Sink down through your front right sit bone. And you're going to open up through your chest and fold forward over your front right leg. So this is Humble Warrior. So just notice what it's like to open to your inner critic. And then let that out of your body. Stand towards the front of your mat. And take a step back with your right foot. You're going to sink down through your front left sit bone, interlace your fingers behind your back, fold forward over your left leg, and just be curious here on this side what it's like to surrender to your inner critic. And then you can find a way to let this out of your body. We're actually going to come down onto your belly. Okay, so you don't even have to stand up again. You can just come right back down, lie on your belly, and take your hands underneath your shoulders. Press your pelvis into the ground. Draw your elbows back alongside your body. Roll your shoulders back and up. And then lift your chest. So just notice how your body is opening to your inner critic. Keep your shoulders down and relaxed. Your ears and your head over your rib cage. Your neck long. And then you can slowly lower down and push yourself up onto all fours. Draw your knees up underneath you and sit back into child's pose. You can have your arms in front of you, or you can have your hands back down by your feet. Rest your forehead on the mat. And in this position, just notice how your body closes to your inner critic. And then roll up through your spine. Come up to seated. Take your legs straight in front of you. And sit up nice and tall. Slide your left leg in. Cross your left leg over your right leg so that your full foot and your full buttocks is on the ground. And you can stay here. Or if you can keep your buttocks and your foot on the ground, you can bring your right heel up to your right buttocks. Lengthen up through your spine, and then wrap your right arm around your left leg and turn towards it. And in this position, just ask yourself, what kind of relationship do I have with my inner critic? And then turn back to center. Uncross your legs and take them straight out in front of you again. This time you will bend your right leg in, cross your right leg over your left leg, bring your left heel up to your left buttocks. If you can keep both your right foot and your right sit bone on the ground. If not, you're going to take your left leg straight out again. And then you are going to wrap your left arm around your right leg and turn towards it. So see how I just moved? I have a lot of layers and flesh in the way, things that was getting in the way of my twist. So I just moved it out of the way here. So that's one thing you can do. You could also do an open twist here if there's too much in the way. So you're going to twist here. My, what a gorgeous backdrop you've all been looking at all class. And on this side, ask yourself, what kind of relationship would you like to have with your inner critic? And then come back to the center, lengthen your legs out, maybe give them a little wiggle out. And here it's going to be useful to lift your hips up on a folded blanket so you can roll your pelvis over your leg bones as well. And we're going to do cow's face forward fold, Ardha Gomukhasana. So cross your right leg over your left leg. You're going to sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward over your left leg until you feel something happening on the back of your left leg. Notice all the ways you struggle with your inner critic. And then roll back up to seated. Take your right leg out long, cross your left leg over your right leg. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward over your right leg. And feel, you don't have to go very far in this to feel something happening in the back of your leg. And ask yourself, how can you find ease with your inner critic? And then make your way up to seated. You can take your legs out long and find your way to lying down on your back for Shavasana. If you have any low back issues, bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. And you can stay here to allow your practice to integrate and receive the teachings while I sit up to read you a poem. So today's reading, it's actually a reading, not a poem. And it's from the same book as I read from last week, which somebody asked about on Facebook. It's from a book by Emmanuel. It's the second book by Emmanuel called The Choice for Love. And I was looking at when that book was published last night because I was responding to that post on Facebook. And it was published in 1997, so it's almost 20 years old now. Yeah, it's quite an old book. An old classic, though. So today's reading is from Manual 2. It's a channeled book, and I adapted it slightly to relate to our theme of the inner critic. And if it resonates with you, great, let it seep in and allow the words to wash over you. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then just let it go. My inner critic feels like a fire-breathing monster within me. I am afraid of what might happen if I ever let it out. How should I handle this? Monsters such as you describe are very dear. They huff and puff and make a terrible noise so that you, the small child, will feel disempowered. The child says, "You see, if I really, really let this fire-breathing dragon out, you will all burn to a cinder. My disappointment would be so great, my displeasure so vast, that if I were to open the cage to the dragon, you would all flee, and I would be alone. Because you don't want to be alone, you keep the dragon inside. You allow it to keep frightening you. But the truth of the matter is that your dear dragon, if you let it out of its cage and measured it, is probably at most 3 inches high. It has been a faithful friend, for it did exactly what you asked it to, and has been loyally fulfilling the needs of the small child that you were, so that you could sleep at night. Dragons and fairy tales are really doing the child's longing, costumed and hidden away for fear that if they were visible, the child would be abandoned. Just open the door." Reflect back on today's teachings on the inner critic and befriending your inner critic. And notice what stands out to you. What seems most important to you? What's one small thing you're going to take away with you from your yoga practice today and into your life? And gradually allow your breath to deepen. Begin to wiggle and stretch out. And then start to roll to your right side. And slowly make your way up to seated. So because we aren't doing beginners classes anymore, we'll go back to our finishing with our mantra, Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu. You start with your left palm up and your right palm down. We'll make space with breath and a sigh. And this is just a way to gather all the benefits of our practice inward and then offer them out into the world. And it's a way so that you don't kind of have ego grasping for your practice, and make sure that you offer the benefits of your practice outward. Let's make space with the breath and a sigh again. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life benefit the happiness and freedom for all. So thank you for joining us for episode 276 of Namaste Yoga. If you liked today's show, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments. I know that over the next 8 weeks, we are going on a deep inward journey that is, the same as seeing a psychotherapist or a therapist for 8 weeks. And I did a little research. If you were to see a therapist here in Canada, it costs on average $100 for a 50-minute hour to see a therapist here in Canada. So that's a lot of money. And I'm taking you on that journey over the next 8 weeks for free. So that could cost you $800. So if you're finding value in this style of class, then consider making a donation as well. There's a donation link here. And if that kind of financial support isn't possible for you right now, then you can always give of your time by liking or subscribing to our channel and leaving a comment. And today's question to leave in the comments is, what was it like to bring that attitude of befriending your inner critic or becoming an ally or bringing peace to the inner critic today? Also, if you would like to become a member of our membership site, then I have a lot of great companion classes for you to practice this week to go along with this inner critic series. So let me pull those up on my notes here. We have a bereavement series on the membership site, and there's a class called The Wound is Where the Light Comes In. So opening up to this kind of pain can be painful. So sometimes it feels easier to avoid pain with distraction and busyness, but eventually emotions surface and grief will demand your attention. And a series like this looks for those small places that remain hollow and asks you to value it. This quiet, abiding feeling may be one of Spirit's ways of sustaining the connection to that preciousness. And that is going to be a great class to practice this week. Also, the forgiveness series, because if we can bring that attitude of forgiveness to our inner critic, it's going to make this whole next 8 weeks a lot easier as well. So in that forgiveness series, there's a heart softening class, a letting go class, a courage class. It's going to take a lot of courage to go through these next 8 weeks, a forgiveness lecture so you know what forgiveness is and what it is not, and also a forgiveness meditation. So we'd love to have you join our membership site where we have value-added content like that to support you in your personal practice. And then also a whole community of like-minded people to give you that accountability and support, and also the ongoing support for your practice. So consider joining our membership site as well. So I am sending you much love from beautiful British Columbia, Tofino, BC, on Vancouver Island. And I forget the name of the beach we're on today. Chesterman Beach on the Pacific Ocean. May your joy be as deep as the Pacific Ocean. May you be as rooted as the trees in our forest. And may you be as strong as our mountains. Om Shanti Namaste. He's okay. Lots of love this morning. Second dog that's come over for. That's nice.
Oh, chum. Come on. Have a good one, guys.
Come here. You want some love too?
No, standoffish. She's good. I don't know why you're giving him love. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Melissa would love to hear your questions and thoughts. Please leave your comments below the video. Thank you for your reviews on iTunes and YouTube. Your reviews help us to share yoga and a yoga lifestyle with others around the world. If you have a question for Melissa, you can leave a voice message at melissawest.com, and Melissa may answer it in an upcoming blog.